There's a new conservative group in the state. It's called the Minnesota Jobs Coalition. The group will do political activity and lobby on behalf of limited government and free enterprise. The group hopes to make its presence felt in the two legislative special elections next month. Veteran Republican strategist Ben Golnik chairs the group, and he's here tonight to talk to us. Thanks for coming. In your January 4th op-ed in the Star Tribune, you said the Republicans had to hold elected officials accountable and drive the conservative message, but do it year-round.
That's right. I think that something we haven't seen on the Republican side or on the conservative side is a group that's out there holding elected officials accountable. I think as it relates to Governor Dayton, then candidate Dayton talked about taxing the rich. We now hear that we've got tax increases on the middle class proposed, possibly expanding the sales tax, gas tax, mileage tax. So I think we need to aggressively be out there reminding the public of promises that elected officials made and holding them accountable.
How do you plan to do that?
Through a variety of ways. Obviously being active in the press, writing op-ed, opinion pieces. Social media will be active there. We started today an online petition to have folks sign up to express their displeasure with the governor over this proposed possible sales tax expansion. So really doing that and just doing it very aggressively. We've had a lot of postmortems on the election, and we think that there's a vacuum and there's a void on our side to do this. So we're going to be doing it aggressively.
Is this an acknowledgement that the Republican Party, with its debt and so forth, is not equipped to do what might be seen as a party mission?
Well, I think that certainly it's challenging for the state party when you've got over $1 million of debt, but I think there's space for multiple groups. The party obviously has a lot of party functions that they organize, the precinct caucuses, so we think there's space for a lot of them, but this specific group, we believe there's a vacuum on our side, and we're going to get out there and really aggressively hold our elected officials accountable.
You mentioned that there's been a lot of postmortems on the Republican side of things, and some folks in your party say, well, we should start looking at maybe some primaries here. Mm-hmm. Will you be active if there are any GOP primaries?
I think that we certainly reserve that right. I think that we're really going to be focused on job creation if there is a contested primary and we feel that one candidate is particularly strong on those issues. I think we absolutely would get involved in those primaries.
In your op-ed, you had a kind of a laundry list of some of the things that went wrong in 2012 for Republicans, and I don't want you to go through the whole list, but is there one or two things that you think rise to the top of lessons learned?
Well, I think I talked about the technology. Clearly, I think that's an issue, and that really ties into the get out the vote, and the get out the vote ties into a lack of resources on our side. I do think while the marriage amendment may have played a role, some say that was it, that's what killed Republicans. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I think it was probably more a function of the presidential race. But if you look, I looked today at the state, and out of the 134 House seats, it was nearly a 50-50 split in terms of districts that Obama won and Romney won. So we're not a bright blue state. We're certainly not a bright red state, but I think we're probably a late blue state. People who like fiscal conservatives and probably social moderates.
When it comes to funding, will you have enough funding to compete with more well-financed DFL groups? Well,
we certainly don't have someone of the means of Governor Dayton's ex-wife, Alita Messinger, who's provided millions of dollars to liberal special interest groups over the past years. But we believe that once we're out there, we're showing people what we're doing. We've already had a great deal of interest from folks who are very concerned about these issues. In Minnesota, we've seen more taxpayers leave the state for each of the last 10 years than enter the state, and that's only sped up over the last 2 years with Mark Dayton's tax increases. That's going to drive more people from the state. And it's not just people going to Florida and Arizona who are retirees, but it's young people who are going to Fargo and Sioux Falls and Des Moines, and we need to reverse that to make Minnesota open for business.
Will you back a candidate for Republican Party chair?
I don't think that we'll play in that. That's a small subset of people, I think 200 or 300 state central delegates who decide that. We're going to be focused on those bread and butter economic issues.
All right. Thank you, Ben. Come back and visit.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.